Hi everyone, so this video is going to be a preview to my fall series. I want to talk about something extremely important I think nobody talks about today. So to start off, I want to bring up this point. Why over 99% of Chinese couples, why they remained virgins until their marriage day. And this was true for over 4,000 years. And yes, I am a 30-year-old virgin. I am sharing this with you guys. And I think it's extremely important to talk about this topic. I will cover my entire life story in future videos. Let's get started. Let's think about this. So, why do you guys think that the divorce rate is over 50% today in so many cultures? And it's not just in the West. By West, I mean Canada, United States, Australia, New Zealand, Western European countries. This is also true in China, in Taiwan, in South Korea, Singapore, Japan. Why do you think this is happening? Why do you think that almost nobody can keep a happy marriage or relationships together? Not just marriage, right? Relationships are shorter and shorter than ever before. Now, according to the most recent survey poll, 23% of women in the West are heading into their first marriage with a body count of at least 10. Now, there's no way to confirm this. This is just what they're reporting. And obviously, you know what I'm thinking. I think the real number is much, much higher. I would say 50% of women in the West today are going to their first marriage with a body count of at least 10. You don't think that's a little bit concerning? So let's keep going, right? And the average, according to the most reported numbers, it's 6, right? And less than 5% of women are virgins on their wedding day. So, what's causing all of this? Is it modern feminism? Is it pornography? I will talk about this in my next video as well, and on why I quit watching porn. There are a lot of things to discuss. So in this video, which is a series preview, I want to focus on one very important point, which I think nobody talks about. I wanted to talk about monogamy. Way back, a few hundred years ago, this term used to mean one partner for life. Today it just means, one at a time. And even that, it's hardly true. There is so much cheating going on nowadays. And this affects everybody. Many people in my family, either they got cheated on or, they were the cheater and they completely destroyed their relationships and marriages. I've said this in previous video that over 90% of my family has been divorced at least once. My mom 6 times, my sister twice. It's insane times that we're living in right now. So, how did most of the population way back in the day remain monogamous for life? For example, my grandmother, right? And she married my grandfather when she was an 18-year-old virgin. She still had to work. Life was tough back in a true communist China. And she raised 3 kids, she cooked and she cleaned, and she did everything. Yet she was able to stay married all the way until the end. She passed away last winter with a body count of 1. Yes, 1. Now let's rewind the clock. I want to talk about this very popular Chinese series because I've had some requests before. And if you want to know about ancient China, especially during the Emperor era, you definitely have to watch this series. It's called 还珠格格. Sorry, I think there's a misspelling in the title there. The literal translation is Return of the Pearl Princess. But I think the official English title for the series is called My Fair Princess. You can Google search this. And I left a link. I found this a very good. The quality is quite good. There's a link to the version with English subtitles in the description of this video. I highly recommend you watching it. Definitely worth the time. It is the highest rated and the most viewed Chinese TV series of all time. Yes, of all time. So series 1 was aired in 1998. It's 24 episodes. And because it was so popular, they went into production for Series 2 right away, and it was released in 1999, has 40 episodes. There was a third series of 40 episodes. It was not so great, because the third series, by then, most of the original cast was gone. I definitely recommend watching it. So the series revolves around the epic love adventures inside the Forbidden City under Emperor Qianlong. He was widely considered to be the greatest Chinese emperor of all time. And the story takes place in the Qing Dynasty era of China. So if you're interested in China, definitely watch this series. And I would say the English subtitles are actually quite good. So why was this series so successful, right? The reason why I want to bring this series is I want to talk about this point. Way back then, people really, really loved each other, and people would truly die for each other. Throughout Chinese history, it is a taboo for anybody, especially women, to engage in any sexual acts before marriage, and in some extreme cases, anybody that was caught could be burned alive. I want to expand on this. I don't think it's just Chinese culture. I would say throughout world history, especially female promiscuity has always been largely frowned upon until the 1970s when you have the third wave feminist movement. I will come back to this point. The only exception is, if you're the emperor, if you're part of the royal family, right? And that's when you can have multiple wives, you can have concubines. Ancient rulers, emperors, and kings, how many people got to be in the royal family, right? 99% of the population were monogamous for life. Marriage back then had a meaning. It is truly for better or worse, in sickness and in health, until death parts us. Today, this is all garbage. This is very interesting, and this is a fact. So today in the 21st century, if you marry a woman in the West, and if that woman has a university degree or above, and if that marriage fails and ends in divorce, there's a 90 to 95% chance that the woman filed for divorce against you, against the man. Do you think that's a coincidence? Nearly every liberal in the West today is a woman with at least a university degree. So you don't think there's some kind of indoctrination going on in schools today? Just want to throw that out there. I will revisit this point. I want you guys to remember this ancient Chinese idiom. This one's pronounced 从一而终. Now, the second character, yi, means one. This translates to remaining faithful until death. It is also a tradition to have a fortune lock given to newlyweds on their wedding day. This will also signify that their fate is forever locked together and they're forever intertwined with each other until death parts us. Ladies, the Western propaganda has been lying to you about feminism. I'm sorry, I have to say this, okay? Toxic masculinity, the patriarchy, everything. Let me ask you this. Do you see any feminists in Ukraine? How come all the women gets to leave? How come all the men have to stay? Do you think that if China invades Taiwan at some point in the future, do you think there will be any feminists that say, oh, we should have half the women stay and half of the men leave, and we should fight the CCP to the death? Really think about it, okay? There's another fact. Only 30 to 40% of Chinese men throughout China's 5,000-year history got to reproduce. Why do you think that is? Imagine this, if the emperor had 1,000 concubines, that means that 999 poor peasant men will end up dying alone. The poorest of the commoners, the peasants, will never ever have a girl. That's just a sad reality. Yes, almost everybody that died in battles throughout history are men. A massive percentage of men died in battle, or they were castrated to serve as eunuchs. I've posted a video on that back in December, right? But on the flip side, over 90% of Chinese women in history got to reproduce. Men fought in wars in order to protect women and their family. Back in the day, most of the widowed women stayed single for the rest of their life in order to pay honor and to pay respect for their dead husband. The respect was always reciprocated by both sides. That is no longer true today. Think about this. Imagine if you had 100 toys. You wouldn't do Toys R Us, right? You had 100 toys to choose from. God forbid, I'm not saying spouses are toys. I'm just trying to make a connection. I want you to think about this. Think outside the box. Now, if you could choose one toy out of 100, would you be happy with any one toy that you choose? Well, the answer is probably no. You're going to walk out the store thinking that there are at least 50 other toys that are better. Now, what if you only had 3 to choose from? Okay, think about that. Now, what if you were given just one toy for your entire life? Just one. Would you be unhappy? No. You will be grateful to be given a toy, and you will do whatever you can to cherish it for the rest of your life. Really think about that. Another Chinese idiom, this one has 6 characters. It's called 上刀山下火海. The literal translation is to climb mountains made of knives and swim in a sea of fire. This ancient Chinese idiom, this proverb, it signifies what a couple that's truly in love will do for each other. People back then, they were willing to sacrifice everything for each other because they know that their love is respected and reciprocated. How many couples today would die for each other? I don't know, you tell me. Today, you are nothing more than an expendable asset. The higher your body count, the less likely you're ever going to find a happy relationship or marriage. This is true for both genders. I'm not just trying to shade women. And this is especially true for women. The more you're sleeping around, the more you're used to be with low-value men and low-value women that don't care about commitment or respecting each other or reciprocating the love and respect for each other. Every man out there that's looking to commit to a woman will care about body count. This is true. Gender is a fact. It is biological. It is imprinted in every single man's DNA. It is extremely difficult for an average guy that doesn't make a lot of money with a median income to sleep around. But any woman, a woman that's a 1 or 2, even 0, can have a new sexual partner every single day for the rest of their life. That is a fact. The more you sleep around, the less respect you have for the people you're sleeping with, and in turn, this is especially true for women, you will lose all self-respect. If body count doesn't matter, okay, let me ask you this. If body count doesn't matter, would you marry a former stripper, an OnlyFans girl, or a porn star? Would you be committed to them and start a family with them? I think we all know the answer to that. Way back a few hundred years ago, people believed in being monogamous for life, and they believed in staying loyal until death. It is drilled into their brain, it's imprinted in their DNA. Today, it's almost never your man or your woman. It's just your turn. This is why dating, marriages, birth rates are on a massive decline, while divorce rates skyrockets. Many men are flying overseas in order to become passport bros, while women in the West over 40, they become cat parents, and they start to take antidepressants. 1 out of 5 women in the West between the ages of 40 to 50 is currently taking antidepressants. That is a fact. Feminism destroys men and it destroys women. Now, I want to bring up this point. Yes, some of you might have seen the previous videos I posted. I have been to red light districts. I've been to many of them, in fact. I give up on trying to date after 11 years of trying my best to be a nice guy, only to have my face smashed in real life. My honest opinion, feminism has turned modern Western woman. Now, if your family is from another part of the world, but if you're born and raised in the West, I consider you to be Western, because you have been 100% indoctrinated by the system. So a couple years ago, I shut myself off, and I decided to focus on becoming the best version of myself. I have gone to sex shows, I have gone to strip clubs, I have been to LGBTQ bars and LGBTQ shows. I saw some pretty insane stuff, I have to say. But every time when it came to actually being sexually intimate with someone, yes, I was already there. I could have just spent an extra couple $100, right? But I chose not to. I stopped myself because I still want to believe that true love still exists in this world. And I chose to focusing on becoming the best version of myself, so I can find someone that will reciprocate the love and the respect back to me. Always remember that. The world doesn't revolve around you. It can't just be me, me, me. Respect is earned. It's never given to you. My grandmother, the most important person of my life, she was the one who took care of me growing up. Because of my extremely dysfunctional family, my parents were almost never in my life. She was the one who took care of me. She passed away with a body count of 1, and she stayed married until the very end. This is what every single modern feminist should strive to become. That's your role model, not some Instagram or OnlyFans influencer selling their bodies and soul for cash. Always remember that. Now, if you're interested about Chinese culture, like I said, please watch this series. Every main character in this love drama, with the Emperor obviously being the exception, remained loyal to one partner, and they stayed virgin until their marriage day. I've talked a lot in this video, and like I said, this is just a preview. I have a lot more to discuss. I want to release a full series starting in September. I want to invite back some people that were in my previous videos, and I hope they can join me on this discussion. It will run from September to April. The topics, I will start with feminism, ultimate red pill episode. I really want to bring this point back. I think it's extremely important. After that, I will talk about the woke culture. I will explain everything in full detail. I don't think that most people have any idea what woke truly means in today's world. And I want to bring everything full circle. I want to talk about China, talk about communism, capitalism, how money, bank, and inflation really works. This video will be released on Patreon only. I want to talk about the dark side of LGBTQ+, especially around queer and transgenderism. I also really want to talk about COVID and vaccines. I also want to talk about Russia, Ukraine, China, and Taiwan, their entire story, how we got to this point, and how I think this issue should be resolved. Then a few more videos I want to talk about climate change, but not in the way you think. Not in the way you think. Also, this woman, Wu Zetian, China's only female ruler. I think she deserves a long format video of her own. She is truly legendary. And sorry, some videos will only be available for Patreon for $5 a month. I really can't upload them onto YouTube because there's so much censorship now. Freedom of speech is truly under attack right now. I already had a video removed and received a warning. I will release the full details when those videos are ready. And finally, the longest video, the finale, will be my struggles growing up without a nuclear family and growing up with over 20 divorces in my family. Getting abandoned, nearly sold to the black market, moving from the east to the west, forced to move out and survive on my own for over 15 years, suicide attempt, forced circumcision, becoming morbidly obese and losing over 80 pounds. There's a reason why, when the marriage ends in divorce, the child is put in every single statistical disadvantage, more likely to drop out of school, more likely to commit crime, more likely to live in poverty, more likely to commit suicide, more likely to overdose. The list goes on and on and on. So in the series finale next spring, I will share my entire story. Feminism has destroyed everybody in my family and why we need to bring back the nuclear family. It is a must. It is extremely important. The nuclear family must be brought back in order to save the future of mankind. One final note, remember the Chinese idiom, 从一而终, remaining faithful until death. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I will see you in the next video where I will talk about why I quit watching porn.